In the heart of a sprawling cityscape, where skyscrapers stroked the sky, and a kaleidoscope of lights danced into the night, nestled a quaint little apartment on the 7th floor of a weathered building. Within these warm walls resided a tiny heartbeat named Marley, a rambunctious golden retriever puppy with eyes as soft as cocoa, and his spirit as radiant as the sun. Marley was a bundle of boundless energy, a whirlwind of paws and wagging tail. He was curious and lively, his days filled with explorations of every nook and cranny of the apartment. Yet, for all his independence, Marley was unequivocally attached to one person. His owner, a warm-hearted woman named Emma. Emma, a nurse by profession, had a heart as vast as the ocean, brimming with kindness and empathy. She had adopted Marley from the local shelter, and their bond had blossomed from the very first car ride home. Emma and Marley were a team, as inseparable as two peas in a pod. Their morning routines were synchronized dances of shared breakfasts and playful chases. Their evenings were hushed symphonies of the rustling pages of Emma's book and the rhythm of Marley's gentle snores. However, a shadow often fell over Marley's bright world. Despite his lively disposition, he harbored a deep-rooted fear, a dread of being alone. Whenever Emma would head out for her work shifts or errands, Marley would turn into a bundle of nerves, pacing around the apartment with an anxious whine. One winter morning, with the cityscape veiled in frost, Emma's routine was disrupted. An emergency at the hospital required her presence earlier than usual. The hurried preparation was a departure from their usual morning rituals, stirring unease in Marley. He watched with a sense of dread as Emma laced her shoes hastily, grabbed her bag, and with a soft pat on his head and a promise of return, rushed out the door. Left alone, Marley's anxiety kicked in full force. The apartment, usually filled with the sounds of Emma's laughter and the gentle whispers of their shared existence, felt eerily quiet. He paced restlessly, his ears perked for any familiar sound, his tail no longer wagging. As hours passed with no sign of Emma, Marley's pacing slowed, and exhaustion began to set in. Finally, he curled up at the door, his small form shivering slightly in the winter chill. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Marley found himself staring at the familiar surroundings. He realized the apartment still smelled of Emma, the cushions still held her warmth, and his favorite toys, usually brought to life by their shared play, lay scattered across the floor. A sense of calm washed over him as he realized that, despite Emma's absence, remnants of her presence were still around him. In the tranquility of the apartment, a thought struck Marley. Emma had left him alone before, and each time she had returned. Her departures, though painful at first, were always followed by warm reunions. Could it be that her leaving was just a temporary part of their shared lives? This thought was still fresh in his mind when he heard the jingling of keys. His heart leaped as the front door creaked open, revealing a tired but smiling Emma. As she kneeled down to greet him, Marley found his fear replaced by joy. Emma had returned, just as she always had. From that day forward, Marley's perspective began to shift. He started to view Emma's departures not as a cause for fear but as a promise of an imminent reunion. The apartment was no longer a lonely place but a familiar haven filled with memories of Emma, waiting to welcome her back. Each farewell became an anticipation of greeting, every absence a promise of return. As Marley grew, so did his understanding. He learned to cope with his fear of being alone, transforming it into a hopeful expectation of reunion. His trust in Emma's return helped him realize that being alone was just a temporary state, a brief pause in their companionship. Emma's absences, once a source of distress, became a testament to their unbreakable bond, turning each of her returns into a celebration of their shared love. Through his journey from fear to understanding, Marley discovered the true strength of his bond with Emma. He learned that love persists even in absence, and that goodbyes are merely brief interludes to delightful hellos. Most importantly, he learned that though parting is a part of life, so is reunion, making each moment of togetherness all the more precious.